Look, I know it's early days, but it's trendy, so I'm going meta. I don't mean I've cancelled fact-checking my essays and reversing all the progress we've made, giving all humans equal footings whilst tongue-padding the cinnamon ring of a Victorian macho expansionist, wealth-hogging pensioner, whinging about how unfair everyone in the world has been to them and cancelling anyone he can point a finger at. No, I mean I'm going to criticise my criticism of everything. How do I know I'm the best person to do that? Well, so far, I haven't asked for anyone's opinion on my writing process, and despite my best efforts to appear nonchalant, I do remain wanting for an outsider's thoughts after I've published too. So, that makes me the only applicant for the job. There's been some positive feedback, sure, but obviously that doesn't count. I think we need other people's opinions, as is proven by the fact that you can always identify the stubbornness, the unmalleability of someone who lives independently or are part of an algorithm-fueled echo chamber. Their social skills just slightly misaligned from years of being unchallenged. I think being able to get away from ourselves, to be hemmed in and balanced by others, is an underrated social need. It's like freedom. I know you're thinking this essay is getting a bit above itself early doors trying to dissect freedom. The word, as we use it today, is a paradox. If everyone was free, they'd have the right to murder, steal, enslave, and become right-wing billionaires, but that would take away the freedom of those they murdered, burgled, enslaved, and exploited. So, we all agree no one can have those rights. There has to be limits on freedom, so we set those limits collectively, then write them down in laws. So, everyone enjoys the maximum possible freedom without having their most important rights infringed. We need the criticism of others in every single way, which brings me on to my gratitude for feminism, because men really need it, and thank Christ men got the chance to learn they're 100% better off with the equality of women. Exhibit A. As every male group admin must have thought at one stage or another, WhatsApp could really use a girlfriend function. A button perhaps called WhatsApp Save Me from the Arsehole Pic in the group chat, where the opinion of a girlfriend is offered to save men from the not suitable for work horrors of the battlefield that they expose each other to. Tirelessly musing our videos, opening pics in toilet stalls, carefully forwarding huge black cocks and the sound of loud orgasms, then deleting the files afterwards so the darker side of our humanity is kept under wraps. There you go. I listened to my own criticism, and a mere paragraph on from freedom, I've brought this back down to the level of men's obsession with willies. How's that for balance? The intent of men in changing rooms, online and in construction sites, is to extort laughs, or at least a lol, or a crying laughing face if you're young enough. But it's cheap, awful laughter and relies heavily on second-hand embarrassment, which are the same reasons why I never took to Will Ferrell. If you're going to criticise something, however, it needs to be judged on its intention. For men, there isn't ever a good reason not to share a little inappropriate humour. A raucous, simple summer blockbuster, except Transformers, can be a 5-star film if judged as a raucous, simple summer blockbuster, but when it tries to blend that in with Jan-Feb thought-provoking quiet biopic Oscar bait, then it's failed at its intention. This puts me in mind of the first trailers released for Man of Steel, in which it hugely oversold how thought-provoking it was going to be. It looked like a meditation on Jesus reborn, like Oscar bait. I've no doubt Zack Snyder thought it truly was such, except it was actually stubbornly stuck in the Transformers camp. Still, at least those trailer editors probably found themselves gainfully employed afterwards, working on selling misinformation. So, which is more important in criticism? The intention of producing awkward laughs and serious superheroes, or the judgment of others that it be sexually incorrect or just a dirty magazine's idea of a blockbuster? That is easy. Surrounded by pub bores, it seems fine, but paradoxically, in the open and before the law, with a jury of your real peers, it is definitely the judgment of others, i.e., saying I'm not a misogynist in the dock, even when your friends and family agree with you, won't get you off, unless we forget it's only misogynists that have to say that. The problem with criticism isn't intent or judgment, however, it's both, it's expectation. Communication is a two-way problem. You can put out your intention bullseye and the audience's understanding might not hit it, and then judge you on their own incorrect expectation of where the bullseye was. Skewed expectation hugely damages my relationship with Netflix. It intended to have the best content, but I actually think it's got the largest on-demand daytime television library, and to put the tin lid on it, my wife won't let me cancel it. Also, everybody's got Netflix, so maybe I'm just angry because, like Rishi Sunak, I didn't have a family that could afford Sky either, and finally I've got its modern equivalent but feel let down. Which, while I'm here, I never understood, even as a child, why you paid for Sky and still got adverts. Anyway, I can't make an essay out of that topic, so going back to being critical. Is the disappointment all the harder because of the expectations I'd raised? Almost certainly. Can we go back and change it? Add a scientific control where another version of me gives Netflix an objective score without expectation? A quick ChatGPT and, just to be thoroughly impartial, Google Gemini search says no. Time travel objectivity experiments are not possible. I was excited to watch The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, but it turned out the cool characters were calm, which I imagine would pay dividends often and handsomely in sleuthing secret mission situations, but so much so that I too wanted to grab a Nazi weapon during their many shootouts surrounded by them and mow the pesky Brits down myself for moving so slowly. It was not what I'd expected, but marking it down from where I expected is not the same as marking it from zero. So I've only myself, the trailer, the studio, and Guy Ritchie to blame, really. Unfortunately, Deadpool and Wolverine was fine too, but I cancelled Disney Plus afterwards. I'm an extremely stubborn and contrarian know-it-all who feels flattered having said that out loud. I'm not a person to take criticism well, my instinct is to front it out. So perhaps I'm not criticised enough, and if the criticism happens to be positive, I never feel like it's worthwhile. Like having to ask for an apology and then receiving one, I don't feel they understand what I want. I know criticism is necessary, but it's also devilishly complex. You'll be pleased to know I'm not planning on writing and recording these forever. So now we've set out the terms for honest criticism, perhaps it's finally time to apologetically explain myself and why I'm trying to subject you to not only my nasal voice, but my unfounded view that A, my opinions are worth saying, B, good opinions or not, they're worth it for you because I'm a writer, or C, I'm in any way a person who should wade in. Why did I decide to make these essays? Who are they for? What's their intention? And are they a success? Well, right off the bat, no. They have given me a new perspective on my writing, though, and to anybody here who has a backlog of creative writing on their laptop as well, let me highly recommend trying to read it out loud whilst thinking about how you mean it to come across to the audience. I can guarantee hours of procrastinating rewrites without ever having to worry that your work is ready to send to an agent. Absolute paradise. I can profess this is all about my writing until the cows come home, but if nobody else considers me a writer, then a writer I ain't. Ostensibly, they are about me doing something as a writer, and then fighting the pretense that I didn't care about views, comments, likes, or follows, not even from those closest to me. Hashtag calling them out, hashtag lovable gobshites. So these columns, articles, essays, blogs, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, fulfill my private desire, but don't forward my public one. Should I still be happy? No. If the former was all that mattered, then I could have kept them on my laptop, canvassing my family and friends occasionally to forfeit their time to read something that didn't at all matter to them and be happy. I didn't though, I made them public. Put in a tedious amount of work to record myself, create videos, and publish to 3 social media sites just in search of a bit of bloody appreciation. Where was I? So, do I need to care if anybody engages with them? Yes. Sure, I can be consoled by saying I didn't have the reach on social media or the funds to promote it, but if they're still demonstrably underwhelming the world online after, let's say, 15 attempts, I need to take that as a hint. I could keep at it, but I'd be missing exactly what I need to make it a success. Criticism. The system really is a bitch. I'm so sorry, you really need experience to apply for this job. Really? Where do you suggest I start to become a world-famous and wealthy writer? Well, do as much free work, using your own money and socials to shamelessly promote projects that no agent will see. Then, after a couple of soul-destroying years, when you're down to your last pennies, enroll at university, tying yourself into years of student debt. Then repeat step 1, but sofa surf and scrounge off loved ones and pub bores this time until you feel you've really become overbearing. I'm really starting to see the benefits of a universal basic income here. You won't need to when you make it big. Now, come back in 10 years after you've settled into a call centre job that keeps the lights on, and we'll be happy to give you another berating for not trying hard enough. We need critics. We need opponents. We need conflict, not least because if we didn't, we'd assume everyone else thought our world was perfect. But a healthy sense that someone else wants to make life better for themselves, e.g., by not listening to my bullshit, is probably a productive way of staving off world wars. So, in conclusion, if I get nothing back from my video, blog, essay, column, podcasts, then I'm taking that to mean that I should end it here. But then I'm taking my own opinion to cancel myself without someone else's opinion. Therefore, I'm contradicting my own opinion that we need other people's opinions. Cancel culture can affect a body of work hugely, but it's nearly always to do with the creator and not the work itself. Always remember, the stories of Harry Potter are not themselves responsible for the controversial trans commentary. In fact, they're paradoxically overwhelmingly a story about a fight against discrimination, against Voldemort's Nazi ideals. But it must also be said that, to my recollection, they're also criminally lacking in trans representation. So, if I cancel myself because I don't agree with my own opinions, you should carry on liking, sharing, commenting, and following my articles regardless, especially if I keep slipping further into the rabbit hole of my own thoughts. One person can always be wrong, but groups seldom are. We'd all do well to remember that the one person could well be ourselves. If others, if anyone amounting to more than one person believes something you're saying or doing is wrong, they're probably right. It doesn't mean you're wrong either, it just means neither of you is 100% right. If somebody thinks what you're doing is sincerely right, I feel sorry for you. That must be a right pain. I know you're thinking, what if it was a fluke, and if nobody else is saying that, it must be because they don't think it, and shit, do I need to carry on? I get it, you didn't ask for their positive opinions, you are quite happy with your own. The only way I know to stave off unself-critical insanity is to foster endlessly laughing at oneself. And with that, I'm going to carry on not taking this seriously, but just write these columns for humour, only because my whole opinions writing publishing process is, I've decided, totally faultless.